Have you ever found yourself, looking at a billionaire who just keeps ruthlessly striving for more wealth?
Right, like long after they've already secured enough money for, I don't know, multiple lifetimes.
Exactly.
Yep.
Or, well, maybe you've been stuck at a dinner party listening to someone endlessly name drop.
Oh, yeah, just desperately trying to impress you with who they know. It's exhausting.
It really is. It's a very specific, almost universal kind of human behavior.
Yeah, we see it constantly.
Usually we just write it off as simple greed or insecurity,
Yeah.
right? But today, we are going to look at these behaviors through a completely different lens.
And that lens, it really challenges our most basic assumptions about human motivation.
Completely.
It forces a total reevaluation of what actually sustains us. It suggests that those dinner party brags and the billionaire's relentless pursuit, they are driven by the exact same unseen biological and psychological necessity.
Yeah, so for this deep dive, we're drawing from a 2023 essay written by Shuifeng. It's titled The Spiritual Aspects of the Beauty of Lifechanyuan's Community Life. And it was edited by Kinyu.
That's a mouthful of a title, but yeah.
It is. But our mission today is to really explore this text's highly unique framework for what fuels humanity. We're going to unpack how it categorizes these unseen forces that drive our behavior.
And then we'll examine how a specific communal movement uses this very framework to try and build what they call a paradise on Earth.
But, and I think we should be clear from the outset here, we are exploring this text as an impartial exercise, right?
Yes, absolutely. We're trying to understand a radically different worldview. The essay presents this highly structured, almost mechanical view of human psychology and community living.
Yeah.
It claims to possess the richest knowledge of what it calls the greatest creator. And, while we are definitely not endorsing its religious or social claims, analyzing its internal logic offers a really fascinating thought experiment about why we do the things we do. Totally. So to understand that internal logic, we really have to start with the text's fundamental premise about the universe itself.
Right, the cosmic hierarchy.
Yeah, the essay lays out this cosmic hierarchy of energy. According to the source, the universe contains 3 distinct types of energy.
Material, spiritual, and soul energy.
Exactly. And it categorizes all living things based entirely on which of these energies they actually consume to survive.
Right, so the foundation of this hierarchy is material energy. This is basically the realm of plants and animals.
They just need the basics.
Yeah, they live almost exclusively on sunlight, water, physical food, like the tangible building blocks of survival.
But the text does carve out a tiny exception there, right?
It does, yeah. It notes that more advanced animals, like monkeys or dogs, they might require a tiny fraction of spiritual energy.
Like through affection or playing fetch or whatever.
Exactly. But their primary engine, the thing that actually keeps them alive, is material.
Okay, let's unpack this, because humans are where this hierarchy gets really complicated.
Oh yeah, it gets messy. According to the text, human beings require both material energy and spiritual energy. We are essentially like omnivores of reality.
Omnivores of reality, I like that.
Right. Because we need the physical calories of food and water to keep our bodies functioning. But we also require a constant intake of psychological calories.
Which is the spiritual energy.
Exactly. We need it to actually experience any kind of high quality of life. The text says without that second fuel source, we might be biologically alive.
Yeah.
But our standard of living is completely impoverished.
Right, like if a human being is a smartphone, material energy is just the physical battery keeping the screen on.
Oh, that's a great way to put it.
Yeah, but spiritual energy is the operating system and the apps that actually make the phone useful. The mechanics of that dual consumption are what drive the entire essay.
All right.
The text argues that the sheer volume of spiritual energy a person manages to accumulate directly dictates their mental state and their place in the world.
And just to complete that cosmic hierarchy really quick, the text points out that above humans are these godlike beings.
Yes.
Transcending entities who have basically moved past the need for both material and spiritual fuel.
Right. They are sustained entirely by the third type, which is soul energy.
So humanity is sandwiched right in the middle of this ladder. We're weighed down by the need for material survival, but we're constantly striving upward through the accumulation of spiritual energy.
Exactly.
But how does the text actually define this operating system? I mean, what exactly is spiritual energy made of? Because usually when we hear that term, we think of something vague.
Like meditating on a mountain or something.
Yeah, or just feeling a sense of peace in the woods.
Well, what's fascinating here is that the essay takes a completely different approach. It strips away the mystical aura entirely.
Right.
In this framework, spiritual energy is highly quantifiable, it's transactional, and it's generated by very specific social behaviors and earthly conditions.
And the text breaks this human fuel source down into 8 distinct pillars, right?
Yeah. Yes, 8 pillars. And rather than looking at them as just a simple list, we can understand them a lot better by seeing how they group together to form a sort of psychological metabolism.
Okay, so let's start with the first grouping, which seems to be all about anchoring the self to past events to generate current energy.
Right, so that's achievements and experiences.
Yeah, and the text uses a brilliant literary reference here to explain achievements. It points to a famous character in Chinese literature, A Q.
Oh yeah, IQ.
This is a character who lives in absolute destitution, yet he constantly finds immense psychological comfort by telling everyone that his ancestors were well off.
Which is wild, but the mechanism there is crucial. The text highlights IQ because his behavior proves that spiritual energy can be manufactured internally.
Even when you have nothing.
Exactly. Even in the middle of losing an argument or facing dire poverty, IQ extracts a literal energy boost.
Like a feeling of superiority.
Yeah, simply by clinging to the memory of his wealthy lineage. The text argues that if the mere illusion or memory of an ancestor's wealth provides that much fuel, actual personal achievements generate a massive, sustaining source of internal energy.
Which connects directly to the second pillar, experiences.
Right.
And this isn't just about, fondly remembering a nice vacation. The text frames life experience as almost a bludgeon of superiority.
Yeah, it uses those great idioms.
Right. It quotes idioms like, I've consumed more salt than you've eaten rice, and I've crossed more bridges than you've walked roads.
Those idioms perfectly capture the extraction process. When someone claims they've eaten more salt than you've eaten rice, they aren't just making small talk.
No, they are asserting that their sheer volume of lived experience elevates their status above yours.
Exactly. They're converting past time into present spiritual energy. They're grounding themselves in a sense of unquestionable authority.
But wait, here's where it gets really interesting, and honestly where I struggle with this framing a bit.
Okay, what's the hang up?
Well, let's look at AQ bragging about dead ancestors he had nothing to do with.
Right.
Or an older person demanding respect just because they've, managed to exist longer than someone else.
Yeah.
Isn't that just delusion and arrogance? I mean,
Right.
It feels strange to label the defense mechanisms of a fragile ego as spiritual energy.
This raises an important question, but it gets to the very core of how this text operates. The essay is treating human psychology almost like thermodynamics.
Okay.
It is entirely impartial about the morality of the fuel source. It literally does not matter to the text whether the energy comes from genuine, hard-won wisdom or from a completely delusional claim about a wealthy great-grandfather.
So the source doesn't care.
Not at all.
Yeah.
The psychological mechanism, the internal feeling of elevation, comfort, and superiority, is identical either way. It elevates the person's mental state above mere material existence. Good or bad, it is the undeniable currency of the human realm.
Wow. So it's really looking at human behavior without the filter of ethics. It just observes that we all desperately seek psychological elevation, regardless of how we actually get it.
Exactly, and that becomes even more obvious when we look at the next thematic group of pillars, which are entirely based on social currency.
Right, so that's friendships, status, and reputation.
Yeah. Friendships, in this framework, include family bonds, but also lean really heavily into social proximity to power.
Oh my gosh, the examples the text gives for this are hilarious.
Highly specific and almost satirical.
Right. It mentions people boasting, the president of the Greater East Asia Prosperity Circle is my uncle.
Which is such a wild reference.
Totally. The Greater East Asia Prosperity Circle was an imperial Japanese political concept during World War II.
Yeah.
To use that as a boast in a modern context just highlights the sheer absurdity of name-dropping.
Well, and the text even throws in another example of someone claiming their friend is the Minister of Energy in the Mariana Trench.
Wait, like the actual underwater Mariana Trench?
Yes. The absurdity is completely intentional. The text is illustrating that the actual validity of the connection barely even matters.
So it's just about the flex.
Yeah, what matters is the attempt to plug into a larger power structure to siphon off spiritual energy. If you can convince yourself and others that you are adjacent to immense power, whether it's the U.S. president or a fictional underwater minister, you generate a psychological force field.
Though I think the text does acknowledge that having genuine kindred spirits and close friends also provides a much more stable version of this same energy.
It does, yeah. But the siphoning aspect is really prominent, which brings us to status.
Right, the office you hold.
Yeah, the text argues that holding office or authority isn't fundamentally about the financial compensation at all.
It's about the energy.
Exactly. An office acts as a literal battery pack of spiritual energy. It uses the example of a minor government official.
Oh, right.
When that official is surrounded by subordinates, you can physically see their demeanor elevate. The subservience of others generates a charge that the official consumes to feel superior.
Which flows so naturally into the next pillar, reputation.
Right.
Which feels like the most straightforward mechanism of social currency. The praises of others bring direct mental upliftment. Every compliment, every piece of external validation acts as a microdose of spiritual energy.
Increasing your overall capacity and resilience? Exactly.
Okay, so this brings us to the final group of pillars, which are all about building an internal vault of superiority. And these are knowledge, talent, and wealth.
Knowledge here is fascinating because it's described as an internal serenity.
Right. The text claims that a person with rich knowledge can remain calm even if Mount Tai were to crumble before them.
But importantly, it also treats knowledge as a strict hierarchy of dominance.
How so?
Well, the text explicitly points out that a person with a PhD feels an innate sense of superiority over someone with a master's degree.
Oh, wow.
And a university graduate feels superior to a high school graduate. Knowledge is not just for practical application in this framework. It is a hoarded currency that buys you mental elevation above the rest of the population.
Man, that's intense.
Yeah.
But the pillar of talent functions the exact same way.
Right. Yeah, it does.
The text argues that specific aptitudes are a source of spiritual energy because they basically create a caste system of self-worth.
Right.
It's the reason white-collar workers look down on blue-collar workers and why skilled laborers look down on common laborers. Their ability to do something others cannot is a literal psychological fuel source.
All of which finally answers the question you posed at the very beginning of this deep dive regarding wealth.
Right, the billionaire.
Yeah. Why do billionaires with enough money to fund several lifetimes or corrupt officials embezzling billions of dollars just refuse to stop accumulating?
Well, because according to this framework, they aren't actually accumulating purchasing power anymore.
Exactly.
They haven't been chasing material energy for a long time. They're chasing spiritual energy.
Precisely. The text argues that the mental state of someone with immense wealth is fundamentally energetically different from someone who is destitute.
Right.
The sheer mass of their hoarded resources provides an almost limitless supply of psychological superiority over those who have nothing.
So they can never have enough spiritual energy, which means they can never stop accumulating the wealth that generates it.
That's the trap, yeah.
Looking at all 8 pillars, achievements, experiences, friendships, status, reputation, knowledge, talent, and wealth, it paints a pretty bleak picture of human motivation, honestly.
It really does.
It suggests we are all just constantly scrambling to extract superiority from our past, our social circles, and our bank accounts just to feel okay.
Yeah, but the text doesn't lay out this grim reality just to leave us there feeling depressed.
Right, there's a pivot.
Yes. It outlines the mechanics of the secular world to set up a massive contrast. The essay pivots to its primary focus.
Which is a specific movement of people.
Right, a group who have taken this exact same framework of spiritual energy and completely re-engineered how it is generated.
And this is where we get to the group mentioned in the title of the text.
Yeah.
The Chanyuan Celestials.
Yes.
Who live in a community called the Second Home.
The essay acknowledges right away that ordinary society looks at these people and basically thinks they are foolish.
Because they stepped out of the normal competitive rat race.
Exactly. But the text asserts that from heaven's perspective, these individuals are ripe seeds of paradise.
Ripe seeds of paradise.
Yeah, and the reason they are ripe seeds is not because they have abandoned the need for spiritual energy.
Oh, so they still need it?
They haven't transcended the human requirement for these 8 pillars at all. Instead, they have entirely optimized the extraction process.
Okay, so what does this all mean? It sounds like the Chanyuan Celestials have essentially gamified life, but they're using a completely different scoring system than the rest of society.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, yes. They traded the secular versions of the 8 pillars, like embezzling billions or becoming a minor official, for a communal, elevated version of those exact same energies.
Okay, let's break down how that actually looks. Let's look at how the text applies the pillars to the Celestials within their second home. Take achievements, experiences, and talent.
Sure.
In the secular world, you get that energy by climbing a corporate ladder or, bragging about the bridges you've crossed. Right.
Right.
But the text says the Celestials generated a massive amount of this energy by traveling tens of thousands of kilometers, enduring severe hardships, and pooling their talents to physically build a paradise on Earth in deserts and wilderness areas.
Right. So by tying their achievements to a shared arduous goal, they basically created a communal battery.
Wow.
And that shared hardship completely transforms the pillar of friendship, too.
Oh, how so?
Well, instead of desperately name-dropping a politician or an underwater minister to feel important, the text states that every Chanyuan celestial is surrounded by thousands of true kindred spirits.
Oh, so it's actual connection.
Yeah, the sheer density of those connections provides a far more stable and abundant source of spiritual energy than any superficial networking could ever offer.
And the way the text reframes status is genuinely striking, too. We talk about how the minor official lords their power over subordinates, but the text claims the Celestials hold the status of immortals. And it uses a very sharp analogy here. It says their celestial status surpasses a secular presidency, just as a human surpasses the rank of led cattle in a herd.
That analogy perfectly encapsulates the text's view of the outside world. It completely reduces secular political power to an animalistic hierarchy.
Lead cattle. That is brutal.
It is. To the text, a president is just the lead cow still trapped in the lower rungs of the cosmic ladder. The Celestials, meanwhile, claim to be operating on a much higher energetic frequency.
Which ties directly into their pillar of knowledge.
Mhm.
They aren't hoarding PhDs just to feel superior to high school graduates.
No, the text asserts they possess the richest knowledge of the greatest creator of humanity and of celestial existence.
It actually poetically claims they read books without words.
Books without words.
Yeah, which suggests a really deep, intuitive mastery of universal laws rather than just like rote academic memorization.
And they have secured the pillar of reputation by taking a remarkably long view. Yeah. The text boldly predicts that as human civilization advances, the reputation of the Chanyuan Celestials will eventually be universally recognized.
So they are claiming future validation as a source of present spiritual energy.
Exactly. It's a very long-term investment strategy for spiritual fuel.
Which brings us to the final pillar, wealth.
Right.
The essay is remarkably candid here. It admits that in traditional material terms, the Chanyuan Celestials do not possess massive bank accounts.
No, they don't.
But it poses a thought experiment to prove they possess the energy of wealth regardless.
The text asks this really pointed question. It asks, if you offered a celestial who was fully integrated into the second home $1 million to leave the community forever, would they take it?
And the essay argues they would unequivocally refuse.
Right, because the communal life they have built provides so much internal security and harmony that it actually holds more tangible value to them than $1 million physical dollars.
So they possess the spiritual energy of wealth without the actual need to hoard the material resources.
Exactly. And if we look at the mechanics of what this community has allegedly done, it explains the title of the essay itself.
The spiritual aspects of the beauty of Lifechanyuan's community life.
Right. The text is arguing that the profound beauty and harmony they experience isn't just some mystical accident.
It's engineered.
Yes, it is the mathematical result of a closed-loop energy grid. By consciously aligning all 8 pillars toward a shared, elevated existence, they generate an infinite loop of spiritual fuel.
They never drain each other. They only charge each other.
Exactly.
Wow. So what does this all mean for us? For you listening right now, that is the question I really want you to take away from this deep dive.
It's a big question.
The text essentially serves as an invitation to audit your own psychological metabolism. Think about the dual fuels of human existence.
Right.
Are you currently entirely focused on material energy, just grinding away to pay the rent, buy the groceries, and keep the physical machine running? Or are you actively aware of the spiritual energy you are consuming?
And if you are aware of it, you really have to ask yourself where you are sourcing that energy from.
Totally.
Are you building a stable foundation through genuine knowledge and deep friendships? Or are you perhaps subconsciously caught in the exhausting cycle of seeking status?
Desperate for external reputation.
Right, or relying on minor assertions of superiority just to make it through the day.
Understanding that these unseen drives dictate so much of our behavior is a really profound realization. But as we wrap up, there is one final lingering complication in the text's cosmic hierarchy that we really have to address.
Yeah, something that challenges the very premise of mastering these 8 pillars in the first place.
Right. The text establishes early on that while humans need material and spiritual energy, the ultimate goal, the godlike beings at the very top of the pyramid, are sustained entirely by soul energy.
Right, they transcend the human requirements completely.
They exist on an entirely different operational level.
Which raises a crucial question. If human spiritual energy is fundamentally built on earthly constructs, things like wealth, social status, the praises of others, and feelings of superiority over the lead cattle of the secular world, does maxing out that earthly fuel actually prepare someone to transcend?
Or does it trap them?
Exactly. Do these 8 pillars, even when beautifully optimized in a communal second home, ultimately act as an anchor?
Wow.
Because if you perfect the art of extracting energy from earthly achievements and human connections, do you risk trapping yourself in the human realm forever, preventing that leap to a purely soul-driven existence?
That is a staggering thought. I mean, if the very fuel that makes human life beautiful and tolerable is inherently tied to our earthly egos and social structures, how do we ever let go of it to reach whatever comes next?
It's a paradox.
It really is. It forces us to reconsider the billionaire for the beginning of our deep dive one last time.
Perhaps their tragedy isn't just that they're endlessly striving for more wealth. Perhaps the real tragedy is that they are perfectly mastering a game that wasn't designed to be won, only transcended. So keep questioning the unseen forces that fuel your own life. We'll catch you on the next deep dive.